Hey everybody, this your girl Classy Sassy Coach Classy Sassy because I'm a certified life coach. And today on Money and How I Lost My Mind, we're going to go over some reasons. We're going to go through 100 altogether, but we're going to go through a few at a time. Reasons why I was manipulated in love. And there's always love, life, lessons, blessings, stressings, all that. So the first one is you strengthen me by faith in God. When I first fell in love, let's go back. Let's go back all the way back. That's my rewind voice. So when I first grew up, my first view of love was my mother and father, grandmother and grandfather. So with that being said, my mother and father were separated. I talked about this a little bit before. 6 months with my mom, 6 months with my dad. The first 6 months with my mom, private schools, military atmosphere. The last 6 months with my dad, military atmosphere, but they were more further away. My father wasn't in the military, but we had a military family. So is my mother. So with that being said, I scratch my head because, like, do you want to say it? Do you want to give them all the tea, or do you want to give them a sip? Let me drink from my cup when I say that. I think I'm one of the few that drink coffee from a straw. Cause baby, this pumpkin spice, cause it's fall time. I know you can see my backdrop of my gold, but let's keep it moving. So when I first had my innocence taken as a child, I learned how to grow feminine body parts quicker, aka chest. You know, the things that are on them called breasts. Um, and when I got that, I learned how. I read a magazine. It was a bodybuilder, and what she did, she ended up talking about, I have breasts. And then it was kind of shocking. And I looked through the magazine that I was flipping through because, I love reading. I learned how to read really young. My grandmother had an eighth grade education, so she taught me really early what she knew, which was how to read, how to sound out, the etymology of words, which is the background, how to break it down, and things of that nature. So even if you don't know something, you can break it down. Like confidence is con, which is with. That's why they say convict. That means you with someone else doing a crime. But con is with. Fid is truth and realness, and delity, which is trust. So with truth and trust, confidence. So you have with truth and trust of yourself is confidence. So what ended up happening was, let me set this down. I read this magazine and I saw how to grow chest. And I said, okay, well maybe I should do it. I ain't got nothing. And so I did it. And then my chest said, poof, after a couple of weeks. And I'm like, so I'm living with my dad and I'm like, well, I really don't want to tell my dad that I sped up the process. And he was like, what happened? I was like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So, with that being said, my grandfather used to gamble. And he thought to himself, he was like, well, let me see what she's doing. And I used to sneak in my grandmother's room and steal bras. And she was just like, what are you taking? What are you stealing? Why are you acting sneaky? What's going on? And I was just like, mm, mm. And he was like, oh, you must steal my money. And so he would go to his stash, open up the bed, dig up under there, and count his money, and it was all there. And he was like, so you had a means to steal all my money and you did it. So what are you doing? And I'm looking around. I'm looking at him. I'm like, I ain't gonna say nothing. I messed up real big. So he looking around the room, he's checking everything, and everything's there. My grandmother, if you move something half an inch, she'll know. because she put everything at 45, 35, 25-degree angles. So everything's like everywhere. Everything has a home, as they say in my family. So I'm like, I ain't touch your stuff. I don't want your stuff. And I'm thinking I want my grandmother's stuff because, I feel embarrassed and my mother's not here to teach me about this. And how do I ask her? And my grandmother better have bread. And so I covered my chest one day and he was like, move your hand. So I moved my hand and he saw the bra. Then he got aroused. And his member stood up and I'm like, and I'm short, almost height to it. And I'm like, and he looking at me and I'm looking at him. He was like, shh, don't tell nobody. Okay. So I put my hand and my bra back together and I slowly walk out of the room. And I never told nobody that story for over 20 years. Because I was like, whoa. He was a pastor. He was supposed to be a man of God. They say you're strengthened by your faith. And I wondered why faith without works is dead, so you got to do something. So I'm wondering to myself, why, if I have faith in God, did this happen? They say obedience is better than sacrifice. So do what you're supposed to do. That doesn't mean do extra. That doesn't mean do extra. Just do what you're supposed to do. So I had a theory where I gave 400%. 100 for me, 100 for them, 100 for the team, and 100 for the future. And most people say, how can you do over 100%? So if you make $25 and you multiply by 4, or 4 times as much, you get 400%. 100. So like if I learn more. I learn faster. I do quicker. I outsource. I delegate. I do certain things. And imagine a person only giving 50% and they're looking at you give 400% and say, why is she working so hard? No, I'm going to stop. And when I mess up, you're there to fill in the holes and the gaps. But you stop filling in the gaps. So with everything that I said, every time there was a mess up, every time there was a catastrophe, I was there. My grandfather thought I was there because I was creating the mess. But what he failed to realize, I was there to clean it up, to do my 400%, to help him, to strengthen him, to guide him. On his deathbed, when I told him what I was doing, he died of a broken heart. And I said, are you going to go to heaven or hell? He said, what? After he took my innocence and it gradually got worse, I wanted him to go to heaven. And I thought to myself, oh, it ain't working. And I thought to myself, how can I get him to heaven? He must confess his sins. And once he confessed, that was enough for me. I know everything that he did to me, everything they do for evil is done for your good. For your good. And this is my first time openly saying it. My grandmother's dying wish was for me to tell this story. I never told her. She died before I was able to heal. She said some things. So today we talked about how you're always strengthened in faith by God. So no matter what happens, put him first. Love him. Guide him. Mercy, grace, love, peace, everlasting to everlasting. And with that being said, when someone takes your innocence, someone takes your peace, your joy, that's the start of losing your mind. Because you lose yourself. You lose yourself. Bye, guys. I hope you enjoyed that.